Okay, this is my video on the trimming of brisket, getting it ready for the smoker. Got a 13.3 pound brisket, so this will be in the smoker for an hour and a half per pound. So what I've done is just taken it out of the plastic, and I've went ahead and rinsed it thoroughly. As you can see, I'm going to start trimming up the brisket on the flat. You can see this big piece of fat that is lying on the one side of the brisket. And this doesn't do anything for us, folks. This stays intact and it doesn't give us much flavor. It doesn't cook down. So all I'm going to do is make an incision in the shape of a triangle. I want to give you like a side view. You guys can see right here. I'm going to go ahead and cut this out and cut it about an inch and a half deep, because this is a big piece of fat. So I will go ahead and cut this out. Make the first cut on this side. Angle it towards the middle. And there it is. This does not do anything for us during the smoking time. So that leaves us with a little space here on the side of the brisket where we can put some rub and stuff. So I'm going to trim up the fat cap here just a little bit. Not a lot. You don't want to trim off a lot of the fat here on the fat cap. That's what gives everything the flavor and keeps it moist during the cooking process. What I also like to do during smoking my briskets is going to be putting a pan of beer, preferably a lager. If not, water's fine. Just to give it a little extra flavor. That's why I would want to use the beer, but if not, the whole meaning behind putting a pan in there in the smoker right below the brisket is going to be to keep it moist, especially depending on where you live, the temperature, the height, above sea level that you are. Obviously, since I live here in the Southwest, it is a lot drier, so I have to take extra precautions to keep the brisket moist during the cooking process. I don't do much here in the bottom, guys. This is the fat cap. This is where the fat is on the bottom of the brisket, and I don't take off much there. I just trim it off a little bit, and then that big piece that you just saw me take out right now on the right hand side of the brisket. So if we're looking at the brisket, we're actually looking at it upside down, okay? Because obviously this is where all the meat is, and there's not very much fat. This is the fat cap, where all the fat is, and this is considered to be the top side once we throw it in the smoker. So that the idea is that the fat cooks and melts off and it drips off the sides and helps baste, a self-basting process. So I've already cut enough off of this brisket. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take regular old mustard and just kind of give it a small coat. And this is going to help adhere the rub. Also provides a nice color on the outside during the cooking process. The mustard that I put on here includes apple cider vinegar, which during the cooking process with the smoke creates a chemical reaction to give it the smoke ring. So I'll just go ahead and coat it on both sides here. Apply this generously. You don't want it too thick, you don't want it too thin, but you want it to be able to get into some of these little crevices here. And this goes all the way around. That's about right. So what I like to do is I like to get fresh cracked pepper on the top. Get a nice good layer. There's something about brisket and pepper that gives it a great taste and gives it a nice crust on the outside once we're done smoking it. A lot of people do prefer, like, the burnt ends when they're ordering brisket at their favorite barbecue restaurant. And some people like to have them trimmed off. Me personally, I like to have the crust on the outside and the peppery flavor. Places like Rudy's do this. They have a nice peppery rub that they put on. They don't apply it like this whatsoever. They have the coarse ground pepper already included in the rub. In case you haven't been to Rudy's, they sell the actual rub there, and you can see the coarseness of the black pepper that they put on it. So Again, I'll apply this generously, a little small thin coat here on that side, and I'll do the other side as well, just to even it out. That's about right. So you can see I didn't put a lot, but the pieces of the black pepper are coarse. I like to go and apply a generous amount of garlic. I think garlic gives it a lot of great flavor, aside from maybe garlic being in another rub. I like to put the regular rub and also the garlic on there separately. So I just have like some Great American steak seasoning. This stuff is pretty salty, so you want to be careful on how much you put on. You want to put a really good coat, but you don't want to put too much. So something like this is going to be pretty good. I'm just shaking off the excess from the top and then letting the bottom part of this brisket with the mustard on it get on there. And then I'll do the other side as well with the garlic. So remember, 1.5 hours per pound, folks. What I generally do is I put it in right around 4:30, 5 o'clock in the evening, and I keep feeding it fire, oak wood logs, until about maybe 5:30 in the morning. I'll take it out and I'll let it go in the oven for about another 1.5 hours, 2 hours, just to make sure that it's nice and tender when we want to start slicing it up. A lot of people use injections to flavor the inside with maybe a beef broth with some seasoning to get the flavor all the way through, and you can do that. If you don't do it, it's fine. If you do it, the only difference you're really going to see is the taste in the middle of the brisket. As you can see, it's a big piece of meat. It takes forever to cook, so you want the flavor to get all the way through, which is why you put a lot of seasoning on it. A lot of people do it in the competition style to go ahead and inject their briskets. At home, you can do it if you want to. It does help with the moisture factor as well. But there's nothing like a nice brisket that's been cooked for several hours over low heat with minimal changes to it. So this is already done. Some people let this marinate overnight. It's going to be up to you. I just throw it right on there. Let the flavor soak in. So now we have the fat part up. So when we're cooking it on the smoker, fat side up, meat side down, and don't get it too close to the fire because you'll burn the bottom side quicker than you'll be able to cook it. So 13-pound brisket is going to go in there for about, I would say about 15 hours. And then I'll go ahead and take it out and throw it in the oven. The next video you'll see me loading up the brisket. See you next time.